Oh, sorry. Okay, I was gonna do a commentary of something something big as I usually do, but I could not find a good quality copy of the episode on YouTube. It's the first time this has happened with Adventure Time, and it's kind of annoying, but what can you do? I guess because this episode was such a big deal and so hyped, maybe that's why the copyright was a little harder to crack, or maybe since I was out of town, I missed it, though I did look a lot. But, you know, stuff happens. What can you do? In lieu of a commentary, I'll instead give you my review of something big. Hopefully this will be short. It probably won't, because, it's me and I talk a lot. But, that's okay. That's really okay. So, something big. This episode was, the continuation of the arc started way back in Sky Witch last season, where Princess Bubblegum, gave her shirt to Maja the Sky Witch in exchange for Hambo. Hambo has long since served his purpose, and, now the shirt has served its purpose too by summoning Darren, the tree titan, or Colossus. Tree Colossus? Or Titan? I like Titan. From ancient times, blah, 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 whatever. And Maja is now trying to destroy the Candy Kingdom. I like this episode. Okay, I sort of like and hate this episode. The things I like about it are, I like the ancient talk of, like, when Maja is summoning Darren, it's a really cool scene, because she's, like, using all the, like, big fancy Lord of the Ring-esque language, and, like, time freezes, and that eye opens in the moon. I like that. I like, eldritch, ancient, super-powered from the dawn of time stuff. That's just a personal preference with me, and I like Darren's dialogue. And the voice they pick for him, like, he sounds old. Like, old man old, but still, you know, intimidating, like he could just stomp you into dust like he did with Root Beer Guy. I do like, also, when Adventure Time wants to animate something to look big, they can make it look and feel really big. Like, with Darren is, like, towering over Maja, they have the sounds and the voice and the angle when you're looking up, and, like, it feels big. A lot of cartoons have a big thing, but, you know, it's just bigger in scale than everything else, and it doesn't really feel massive. It doesn't move like a massive thing. And Adventure Time, you know, knows how to do that. So yes. It was also cool seeing the Candy Kingdom go on the defensive, though I don't think I care as much about that as other people do, because, you know, we've kind of seen it before. Heck, they kicked ass in James too, kind of. So, the stakes were higher this time, and it was kind of cool to see Princess Bubblegum in, military commander mode. She's pretty good at it. She's probably done this before. It's been 800 years. She's almost definitely done this before. So, yeah. A nice bit of continuity while, like, Princess Bubblegum is talking with Colonel Candy Corn or whatever. You could see Finn and Jake in the background, like, whispering to each other, and Jake stretches and takes Finn away. So that's when they decided to go get the elephant. I like little bits of continuity like that. Like, second viewings reward you for paying attention. So let's talk about some things that really mattered in this episode, as opposed to little things that just I liked. Most Adventure Time episodes these days have a theme. The theme of this episode was temperance. Things that you think will last forever won't, and how do you adjust to change, and how can you adjust to change? And some people choose not to because they're weak, or they cling to what's past, or you know, they just freaking don't like change. I mean, you're watching a video on YouTube, you've been around the internet, you've seen people like that who just can't let go of the past. We see that with Darren, we see that with Psychic Kingdom Warelephant, we see that with Colonel Candy Corn. Freaking Colonel Candy Corn. I love that when they do this, they, like, Colonel Candy Corn has a conversation with Princess Bubblegum, and you think it's just a throwaway conversation about getting back in the game and how he hasn't been the same since his wife passed away, which is very sad. And, it seems like, you know, his time he thought was over, but then he's able to get back in the game and stuff. That just seems like a funny throwaway conversation, but, it actually ties into the theme of the episode, and it like, keeps bringing up that that main motif, as it were. And I like that. I like stories that do that. So, yes. What was I going to say? I lost the thread. Oh. So anyway, Darren is the type who clings to what's gone and can't move on. And to the point where he's actually grateful when Finn kills him because he doesn't want to live in a world that's different anymore. And, but Ellie is trying, bless his heart, bless his two-sided art. He's trying to, find a new purpose. And if the world doesn't have a place for someone like him anymore, then he'll try to find something new to do. And I do like that moment where he can read the minds of everything, and it's still not helping him that much, and he reads the mind of the sun, which is weird. Is he just imagining that, or is the sun actually sentient in Adventure Time? Either one is plausible, I guess. But Adventure Time continues to say startlingly deep things like, "One day I will engulf the solar system." But meanwhile, you should ask yourself. It was actually the message of The Fault in Our Stars, if I recall. I haven't watched the movie, but I did read the book, and it was basically that just because something is temporary doesn't mean it doesn't matter. You can find a new way to matter without lasting forever, which is very deep stuff, very important to have in your kids' show to teach kids who might be afraid of their own mortality or afraid of change or, stuff like that, to tell them in a subtle way, you gotta move on, and might seem scary, but you can find a way. You can do it. Everybody can do it. So I was actually really mad when I first saw this episode about Root Beer Guy died, because it's Root Beer Guy. We love him. He's a darling. He's precious, and he was a really likable character, and he was really great, and they just killed him off screen. And it's just bad writing, okay? It just seemed like bad writing to me, to just off a character like that. Yes, he died heroically. Yes, he gets a final send-off from the characters and a title card at the end. But we didn't freaking see it! We didn't... And he left his wife behind. And, oh god, there was so much potential with new episodes, with him as the Captain Banana Guard, and now it's over, and it's... The reason Root Beer Guy died is because his voice actor... I think his name is Jack Pendarvis, though that might be someone else, but suggested it, so don't blame the writer, Jesse Moynihan. He was just following orders from on high. And the reason they gave for it was kind of stupid, like, we were gonna make the Banana Guard smart, but I don't know, let's not. I don't know. And I guess the guy didn't want to do the voice anymore, but, like, man, at least give him a good send-off if you're gonna do that. I mean, I'm going to say it, and maybe I'll regret it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Transformers Energon had better death scenes than that. I mean, for real. Like, yes, characters in Transformers Energon were killed without finishing their arcs, sometimes callously, and oftentimes revived in ways that made their arcs not matter. Yeah, it was annoying, yeah, it was bad writing, but at least we saw them die, okay? And some of their deaths even managed to be a little profound, maybe. And what does Root Beer Guy get? A shot of his shattered corpse. Great, thanks. So I ranted and raved like this for a little while. Like, I just can't believe this. But then I thought about something. And this is maybe something Jesse Moynihan did on purpose. Maybe not. But here's this. Root Beer Guy represents a different time for us. A simpler time. Before Lemon Hope, and before Finn lost his arm, and before all that jazz. Okay? It was an earlier episode, and maybe not long enough ago for us to be nostalgic about it, but it represented a sweeter time, and a different time. And him ending and us throwing a fit about it shows that maybe we're Darren, who can't accept change and throws a fit when things are different, and can't let go of things that pass, and acknowledge that it's not the way it was. Like Princess Bubblegum did in this episode, no doubt has had to do many times in the past. Maja mentions that Princess Bubblegum's residual feelings are super powerful. Residual feelings mean feelings you put aside or hidden. And so Princess Bubblegum has a lot of baggage that she's just had to dump because she doesn't have time for it. I'm not sure if that's a healthy coping mechanism, but then again, she is over 800 years old. Like, maybe she just got callous or just figured out how to put it aside. Unlike Finn, where he tries to put it aside, it builds up and explodes because he's 16 years old, and that's kind of what 16-year-olds do. So, yeah, that was my thought on that. Like, maybe Rupert Guy dying actually feeds into the theme of the episode. I still don't like it, but, you know, that makes it a little better. And Crunchy made it, thank God. I know you're all, like, really upset about Crunchy. Like, Crunchy's fine. One of the biggest problems with this episode, I feel like, besides Rupert Guy, is the pacing. And first, like, it starts off with, like, one of those, what they call in creative writing classes in school, a hook, where it leads in with the Candy Kingdom being invaded and Rupert Guy dying, and they go, holy shit, how do we get to this point? And then they flash back. Some people don't like that storytelling technique. I'm not a huge fan of it either, but it wasn't terrible or anything. Like, you know, it made sense. And starting off with Maja summoning Darren and then moving into the invasion might have made the episode longer than necessary. The really big pacing problem was that 8 minutes in, the main conflict of that the episode set up was solved. Darren is defeated, so is Maja, and the Candy Kingdom is now safe. And there's 3 minutes left. It's like, oh. I remember the first time watching this, I was like, now what? We're not done yet. What are we gonna do for the rest of the time? So maybe that feeds into the theme too. I don't know, but it seemed weird at the time. It was like off-putting. Like anytime when you're watching a cartoon and you have a moment, you just go, it's not good, usually. And so yeah, the second part is, which is not even half the episode. It's so weird. It's Darren flying around. I mean, not Darren. Ellie, who now has a name, trying to fly around and find a new purpose and all that stuff. And he ends up taking Maja with him, which is, of course, going to lead into something. They wouldn't have something like that and not have it lead into anything. I want to talk about Maja a little bit because I do kind of like her character. She showed up very briefly in Skywitch, which is weird because she was the title character, but, you know, she seemed like there wasn't a whole lot to her, but then again, we didn't see much of her. She wanted the Bubblegum's t-shirt. We didn't know why, and she was kind of rude and, like, but in a funny way. Like, she insulted Ash, the guy who sold her the bear. And, like, you know, she flies around and attacks her own henchmen. She does the standard villain, smug, female villain stuff. But in this episode, while we technically didn't get a whole lot more to her, she's just really funny. And I do like the changes they made to her design, where she looks less generic with the dot eyes, you know. She's got, like, the big, weird eyes now and the unibrow. But, some people said they didn't like the design change. It's like, well, honey, you complain about how all the characters in, like, Frozen look the same, but, like, when they change a character in Adventure Time so that she doesn't look like everyone else, suddenly you throw a fit. Smart Alex. So, yeah, and I also like how after she gets knocked out, we see her kind of a weak and vulnerable state where she, like, sounds scared and kind of intimidated. Like, oh, it's bright. But, you know, she still doesn't lose her edge completely. You're the flippin' elephant! I thought that was really funny. We'll talk. Also, I'm not sure how I feel about her wearing the shirt. She, like, totally ripped apart the shirt. Does ripping it make the magic work better, or she just like it better ripped? Some people just like ripped t-shirts. I don't understand it, but okay. One thing that occurred to me while I was watching this episode, and actually that occurred to me a little before, is Maja a Martian? Because she has green skin, and she's magic. But, like, that's all I'm basing it off. But something that else occurred to me in this episode is they showed that Maja uses feelings to power her magic, and isn't that kind of reminded me of, like, the teleporter that Magic Man had. Remember that takes you to Mars? It's like, it doesn't work unless you think stuff about people. Like Maja's powers. Except she uses it from other people's thoughts about people. But, yeah, that was a weird connection I made. I don't know if that's what they're leading into, or even if they're leading into anything. They might not be, but that's just a weird thing that occurred to me. I was gonna say something else. Thinking. Oh, yes. Psychic Tandem War Elephant. I feel kind of bad because I initially didn't really think of him as a real character. I just thought of him as a tool, which is what he thought thought of himself. Like, because he's like, give me orders. I demand orders. Finn is like, I just don't want to order you around because that's weird. He had no problem telling him to stay in a basement for 3 years. But, yeah, giving him orders, that's weird. So, but yeah, I do feel bad. Like, I just thought of him as just, this guy that was happy to serve, and as long as you gave him an order, he'd be satisfied. But, like, no, he's a real individual with, like, feelings, and I feel guilty now. Also, the name Ellie, isn't that a girl's name? But then again, he is a super ancient being, so maybe he predates gender roles. I like to think that that's true. Also, the fight scene with Ellie and Darren, while brief, is pretty awesome. When he comes in, like, his musket tucks charging, and he spins around at the thing. It's like, it's just, waited so long to see the ancient psychic tandem war elephant in action, or so many episodes were like, why didn't you use the ancient psychic tandem war elephant? Well, here it is, folks. This is what you waited for. And it was cool. It was brief, but it was cool. Okay, I don't think there's much else to say about this episode. Now, there's probably a lot more else, but I'm tired and my brain is a little buzzed. I'm still upset about Root Beer Guy. But, I can't dwell on the past forever, man. Gotta move on. So, hopefully this will lead into some more awesome stuff. Apparently the crew is really excited about this season, so we'll probably get more awesomeness to come. It'll probably all come together at some point, maybe, or maybe not, who knows. We aim to defy your expectations. Anyway, enjoy this episode, and I will see you, hopefully with a commentary next time, and with a review if that doesn't work out. Strengthkeeper 96600, signing off.